Hey guys, welcome into Fantasy Football Academy 2020. As always, I am the Dean, your host, and I want to welcome you in. Look, it's a crazy weekend. It's been a crazy 3 weeks. This year, beyond any other in the history of the NFL, there have been more touchdowns, and they kept on coming in week 3. Look, first 2 weeks were nuts with no preseason, no regular offseason. With all of this COVID stuff that we've been having to deal with, it has truly affected the way that fantasy football has been played, at least in the first 3 weeks. The defenses are way behind. The offenses are light years ahead, and there just been production after production after production of touchdowns. So what is the right formula for your fantasy team? Look, we're going to look over some things that I don't want you guys to go off on the waiver wire and go, oh, I need to get this guy because he scored a lot this week, or I need to get this guy because he scored more than he's ever done before. Remember, we always talk here about environmental roster management. Environmental roster management means you look at the entire environment. Okay, you can't just look at one sample size and make a decision from there. You have to look at everything. Now, we've got a Thursday night game coming up. But before I get too far ahead of myself, we have tonight the Chiefs versus the Ravens. This one has a 55-point over-under from Vegas for a point total. So this is following the trend. And remember, we have, after 3 weeks, we've got a little bit more of a sample size to look at, a little bit more stats to look over to kind of make decisions and see who's who and what's what as far as fantasy football goes. We're going to take a quick look at some of the leaders for this week, just this week, and show you what kind of trap other players could fall into and why you need to keep an eye on your waiver wire for this coming week, all right? So let's get into it. And you guys know whenever we go here, this is always the time to thank our sponsor. So we're going to thank Zia of Lafayette, down in Lafayette, Louisiana. They're on Doucette Road. You can find them right in front of the Reds Health Club and behind the Grand Theater Cinema Complex on Johnston Street. So if you're down in that area, go by, see them, tell Tucker and Heath and Leo that we all say hi. Tell them the Dean sent you. Tell them we say hey, okay? So look, we're looking here, week 3, top producers at the quarterback position. Now, there's really no big surprises, but I want you to look at this. We've got Russell Wilson, Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, and one of the surprises in the top 5, well, really top 7, Jared Goff. Jared Goff coming back. He's had 321 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, had 4 rushing yards and a touchdown. Now, he's not, Kyler Murray. He's not Josh Allen. He's not a threat to run, but he gets that little boost right there and puts him up above the 30 mark for a quarterback, which is a really good production. Look, Russell Wilson's just been playing out of his mind. If you guys listen to this broadcast during draft season, you saw me do mock drafts. You saw me taking Russell Wilson early and often. I told you could go running back, receiver, and then on that 5th round, hit Russell Wilson. If you really wanted him, you could go ahead and catch him in the 4th round. That was reaching a little bit, but if you look back at it over these past 3 weeks, he has done nothing but be phenomenal for fantasy, okay? And there's no real sign that he's going to fall off. I mean, this is Russell Wilson. You've got a proven history behind Russell Wilson that he is who he says he is, okay? Dak Prescott, look, with the way that the Cowboys have been hurt on defense, there's going to be nothing short of opportunity for Dak Prescott to perform for fantasy, okay? So if you have him and anyone else on your bench, unless it's Russell Wilson or maybe Josh Allen, you're starting Dak Prescott every single week, no questions asked, unless he's on a bye or for some unfortunate reason he gets hurt, which I wouldn't be mad about it. I'm not looking for it, but I'm not going to be mad about it, just for the simple reason that I'm a Washington fan. So, look, Aaron Rodgers, I said it earlier, and I'll say it again. I'll keep saying it until he cools off. He's pissed. He didn't like the way that the offseason went. He didn't like the way that they didn't give him any kind of receiver help through the draft, even though this was an outstanding receiving class. They could have gotten a whole lot of help for him. So that's something that, the rest of the NFL is just going to have to deal with. He threw 283 with 3 touchdowns, gave him 30.5 points this week. We see Tom Brady. Now, Tom Brady was actually on the bench because for our league of record, because the player the owner who had him, who's Hunter, who's the Cajun Pudos, they also had, as you see at the top, Russell Wilson, and that's who he started, as he rightfully should. Now, what do you do when you have 2 high-performing quarterbacks? You trade one. Look, put Tom Brady out there. This is week 3. This is one of his better performances that he's had, okay? So, this is what you do when you talk about selling high and buying low. Guys who have had, injuries, or they've had bad performances. I myself just pulled a trade this past week for Joe Mixon. Yeah, I know. I said lay off of Joe Mixon, but I said lay off until Joe Burrow proves that he is who we thought he was, okay? So, Joe Mixon probably going to be seeing less stacked boxes because Joe Burrow can throw. He can play in the NFL as well as college. Okay, we saw him in college. We saw he was phenomenal. He won national championship. So the only thing stopping him right now in Cincinnati is his offensive line. This crew couldn't hold water in a bucket, okay? So, Cincy, you do the right thing. Go out and get this man some protection, okay? So, what's better protection for a quarterback than to get the ball out of his hands early and give it to Joe Mixon? I know this past week, Giovanni Bernard kind of snuck in and, Mixon got game scripted out, but it's still Joe Mixon. They still paid the man, and they still are going to rely on him. Okay, so besides, I need some help with Saquon, with the loss of Saquon Barkley and Raheem Mostert. So if you're in the same boat I was, you might be looking for the same thing. But I digress. Going back to the Tom Brady thing, when you have 2 high-performing quarterbacks, you really only need the one that you have confidence in. Go out, take a look at your roster. Go out and get what you need at the position you need. If you need wide receiver help, put up Tom Brady for, somebody who's on another team, because the waiver wires right now are extremely convoluted. There's not a lot of clarity in the waiver wire. It's littered with guys who are 1 week performers. They're 1 week wonders. You can't rely on them. Alan Lazard blew up last night against the Saints. I had MVS. So it's basically until Devontae Adams comes back, it is a roulette wheel. You don't know where the ball is going to land on performers like that. So it's basically, who does the quarterback feel comfortable going to if you're looking at wide receiver? If you're looking at running back, and we're going to get into that here in just a second, the running back situation. Look, Rex Burkhead was the number 1 running back. Okay, Rex Burkhead. We haven't heard about Rex Burkhead since never. So even Sony Michel got into the game a little bit and didn't really get a whole lot of touchdowns, but did get a whole lot of yardage. So with these top performers, look, like I said, there's really nobody of surprise. You got Fitzpatrick came in there. He was going against Jacksonville. He only threw for 160 yards, but he did have 2 TDs and 1 rushing touchdown. Okay. So, like I said, there's not a whole lot of surprise here. Kirk Cousins showed that he had some signs of life against Tennessee. Has 251, got 3 touchdowns, lit up the place. So we see that, Kirk Cousins isn't entirely useless right now, but one good performance does not make me feel comfortable starting him over someone else that you might have on your bench. Now, we do have a point of note. Down here, you see Nick Foles. And why am I so happy when I say the name Nick Foles? Because Nick Foles at 188 yards, 3 TDs. Yes, it was against Atlanta, who have become the choke artist of the year. Okay, look, if Dan Quinn, and everyone's talking about this, if Dan Quinn makes it through this week with his job intact, whoever is starting against Atlanta offensively, start them. Okay, you may not get it in the first half, but it will come, because this defense will choke away a lead in a heartbeat. Someone get down there and teach someone the Heimlich maneuver in Atlanta, because they are choking to death. Okay, 2020 has been hard enough, but when you have to be a Falcons fan right now, it's even worse. Okay, Nick Foles was my preseason bold prediction to start week 4. He just got put in halfway through the game in week 3. What do you think is going to happen from here on out? Okay. Chicago didn't extend Trubisky for his 5th year. They didn't pick up that 5th-year option. So they bring in Nick Foles, who is Mr. Backup. Got a Super Bowl ring because he is Mr. Backup. So you tell me what you see coming down the line. Look, Matt Nagy doesn't want to lose his job, and he's going to do whatever it takes. And this has got to be the ugliest 3-0 team that you have ever seen. Okay? So, Nick Foles predicted right here to start by week 4. Yeah, I thought by Trubisky going 2-0 would have got him a little leeway. So, yeah, I was thinking about week 6 maybe. But thankfully, he screwed up bad enough. Couldn't read the defense good enough. Prediction is going to come true, guys. So, thankful for that one. And we'll see how the rest of them pan out. If you guys didn't see the bold prediction show, look, down at the bottom, subscribe, like, and share for me. Go check out my bold prediction show. See how much you agree with and see how much you actually see coming true. Leave the comments below for me, too. So, let's go up here. Let's check out top performers for the running back position week 3. And remember, guys, I'm only doing week 3. This is not a collective. Now, this top performer right here killed me last night, guys. Killed me. I was going up against Sleddy Mutts, who had Kamara. We were pretty close until this point. I'm going into Monday night with Kelsey and Lamar, looking for 60 points. Wish me luck, guys. So, Kamara, 48.7 points. Alvin Kamara is back, okay, with no Michael Thomas. Look, when Michael Thomas comes back, Charles, it was a good run. But once Thomas comes back, I think that Alvin Kamara might drop off just a touch. So, receiving yards, we see that that's where he got his play at. 58 yards rushing, no touchdowns. Got 139 yards receiving, 13 receptions for 2 TDs, gives him 48.7 points. And if you didn't see that check down play that led into about a 50-yard touchdown, go back and watch it. It was awesome. Okay. So, as I said, Rex Burkhead making a appearance here at the top. Prior to Sunday Night Football, Rex Burkhead led all running backs with 34.8 points above Austin Eckler. And why is Austin Eckler on this list? Austin Eckler's on this list because they switched quarterbacks. Look, you weren't hearing anything in weeks 1 and 2 about Austin Eckler until they made a switch to Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert is the replacement for Phillip Rivers. It was not Tyrod Taylor. 2 totally different skill sets, 2 totally different styles of play. So, as long as Justin Herbert is the quarterback for the Chargers, Austin Eckler will be back as advertised. Look, he's got 59 yards receiving, got a touchdown out of it, 11 receptions for 84 yards. Now, we see what Kamara did with 13, and we see the difference that the 2 receptions has. This is just two players getting to know each other. This is Austin Eckler getting to know Justin Herbert, Herbert getting comfortable with Eckler. This will continue as long as Herbert is the quarterback. So as long as the Chargers keep winning, pardon me, as long as Eckler is going to be producing, as long as Herbert is healthy, this will continue. Now we look at the Rex Burkhead. Look, guys, this is New England, okay? New England is infamous in fantasy football for not being able to rely week to week on running backs. It is a wheel of death when it comes to your running back position for the New England Patriots. The running back here is also their quarterback, okay? Cam Newton will be used more often than not in positions like that. We saw Rex Burkhead. Now, they might be trying to save Newton from himself. We saw the loss in week 2, last play of the game against Seattle, that, Cam just didn't get it done, just made a bad decision on the play and tried to run it himself. Maybe they learned from that, but you still cannot rely on a New England running back to be a productive fantasy player for you week in and week out. It's not going to be consistent, okay? 49 yards, 2 touchdowns, 7 receptions for 49 yards and a touchdown. Look, when you've got 98 yards total and 3 TDs, that is situationally based, okay? That is, they got an opportunity at the goal line, and Rex Burkhead just happened to be the flavor of the day. Now, I'm going to scroll down here real quick because I want to show you guys something. We see Sony Michel, 117 yards rushing, 2 receptions for 23 yards. Look, if those 117 yards had to come anywhere with a touchdown attached to them that was outside of Rex Burkhead's, he'd be up there in the chat as well. And I would rely more on Sony Michel because you look at the consistency here with 117 yards, I would definitely take that because we see 34 yards rushing for Zeke, 1 touchdown, and then 6 touches for 24 yards, 17.8 points. So we see what a big deal that touchdown is because you take 34 yards. I'm not taking that from my #1 draft pick, okay? Darrell Henderson, look, again, this is clearly a case of hot hand. Malcolm Brown was injured. We knew going in that Darrell Henderson was probably going to be the main back. 114 yards and a score, 1 reception for 6 yards, not really big. The gentleman above him, we see Jeff Wilson. Now, given he was going against the Giants, He only had 15 yards rushing. This is how important touchdowns are. Had the touchdown, 3 receptions, 54 yards, and another touchdown, 21 points. So you're going to see on the waiver wire, make sure you're looking not just at the ranking, but look at who they are, where they're at, and what kind of situation. Do your research, okay? Before you go ahead and put that waiver claim in, make sure you're looking at it. Mike Davis, a new running back on the scene. He's a replacement for Christian McCaffrey, and I told my wife before this week started, I told her, I said, look, I would love to start Mike Davis for you. One, you don't have room on your roster right now. Number two, we don't know how he's going to be used. Give it a week. You don't need the help, but keep an eye on him. 46 yards, not that big of a thing, but 8 receptions for 45 yards and a touchdown. The 8 receptions, look, he's going to get better. Okay, he's only got 4 weeks. You only got 4 weeks to play with him. But he is being, you see he's being used. He got targeted 8 times in the passing game. So you see that they're trying to get him involved. When you see things like this, this is what you look for. You look at Jeff Wilson. 3 receptions, 54 yards. 8 receptions, 45 yards and a touchdown. The 8 receptions is what pops to me, plus the fact that he's taking the place. He is clearly the backup for Christian McCaffrey. Jeff Wilson, you have him and Jerick McKinnon, and we're not really sure when Raheem Mostert is going to be back. It could be this week, it could be next, but it will be soon. They did not place him on an IR. Why is this important, Dean? This is important simply because this year they have the 3-week IR. It's a shortened IR list. If they go on this list, they're only on there for 3 weeks. So if the team does not think that you're going to be more than 3 weeks, they will not put you on IR. They will put you as inactive. You will see a no participation or a DNP next to their name during the week when you see them for the practice report. Okay, when you look at the injuries, you're going to see DNP or LP, which is limited practice. If you see those things, those are the things that going into the weekend games that you need to pay attention to see who's hurt and when they're coming back. Now, Christian McCaffrey is on IR. He's on IR because he has a 4 to 6 week window to come back from a high ankle sprain. Okay. Even when McCaffrey comes back, I don't recommend starting him until the 2nd week he's back. Give him a second, let him get acclimated, let him get back into it, and you don't want him to re-injure, because the worst thing to do, trust me, I suffered this myself this week. I had Deontay Johnson in. He got knocked out with a concussion in the 2nd quarter. I also lost Jordan Reed in another league. So I had Jordan Reed in a flex position because there we play wide receiver, running back, and tight end. I needed some help, so put in Jordan Reed. Also lost him halfway through the game. You do not want to put a player back in too early that's coming back from injury, especially a high ankle sprain, and especially a workhorse like McCaffrey. So when McCaffrey does return, as much as it's going to pain you to bench him for the 1st week, go ahead, do it if you can. Okay, that's if you have the flexibility. I understand if you have to out of necessity, but if you don't need to, wait. We see Nick Chubb just ran all over my beloved Washington, 108 yards, 2 touchdowns. So he had 1 reception for 2 yards, so nothing big there, but the yardage was just crazy. We see Dalvin Cook, James Conner, Derrick Henry, all over 100 yards. And we see James Robinson, 6 receptions for 83 yards, 46 rushing yards, and 2 TDs. That was on my team of Chicken Wing. If you watch TikTok, you know the rest of the song. So some things that we don't want you to fall into on the waiver wire. If you're looking for a running back, don't fall into the Jeff Wilson trap. Okay. The Darrell Henderson thing, make sure you're doing your research on that. Please don't fall into the Rex Burkhead trap either. We don't want to see you guys go down that rabbit hole chasing after it and have to take either the blue or the red pill to get better, okay? A little Alice in Wonderland reference there. Now, we're going to look at receivers. Guys, Tyler Lockett is locked in with Russell Wilson. 39 points, 9 receptions, 100 yards, and 3 of Wilson's 5 touchdowns. It was crazy. We see Justin Jefferson busting out. He has his breakout game. Now, here's the thing with Justin Jefferson. Look at who they're playing, okay? Yes, Diggs is gone, but you still got Thielen there. If this is the game that gets him comfortable with Kirk Cousins, 7 for 175 and a touchdown, then definitely put him in your lineup. We see Keenan Allen here with 13 receptions, 132 yards, and a touchdown. Clearly, Justin Herbert is loving him some Keenan Allen. Now, we see Ced Wilson here with Dallas, free agent. I know you're going to be running out to get him, but look, pump your brakes, hold on a second, because you look 2 slots down, and you see Michael Gallup with 6 receptions, 138 yards, and a touchdown. What does this mean? This means that Amari Cooper might have been dinged up, and that CeeDee Lamb was getting covered. So Michael Gallup is your play for the Cowboys if you have any type of confidence in the trio that is there. No, Ced Wilson is not going to be a fifth wheel. This is one of those just freak outlier things. If it happens again, it's something to pay attention to, but please do not get drawn into the trap of this breakout game for Ced Wilson, okay? If something happens to Amari, if something happens to CeeDee Lamb later in the week, comes out that they were hurt, they were dinged up, then okay, fine. Look at Ced Wilson. And that's going to be coming out on the injury report either today or tomorrow. Make sure you get your waiver wire claims in for those that you need. We see DeAndre Hopkins continuing his ways, 10 receptions, 137 yards. Tyler Boyd, same receptions and 125. Cooper Kupp returned from the dead, 9 receptions, 107 yards, and a TD. Right behind him, a couple of spots down, we see Robert Woods, 5 receptions for 74 yards and a TD. Brandon Ayuk, and this is a guy I wanted to bring up. Look, if you have him on your roster and you're in need of receiver help, or if someone in your league lost, as I did, Julio and Devontae Adams, this is a guy that you might be able to move in a trade. Don't expect to get a whole lot back from him, because as soon as George Kittle comes back, his production is going to drop, okay? So if someone comes at you with this Brandon Ayuk trade, don't bite it, okay? Don't get into it. It's not going to be good. We see Allen Lazard right below Michael Gallup, 6 receptions, 146 yards in a TD. Look, Allen Lazard was great, but once Devontae Adams comes back, which is probably going to be next week, he will fall off also, okay? Because we all know Devontae Adams is the main guy in Green Bay. We see T. Higgins here. Now, T. Higgins is going to pop up on your waiver wire, as well as Greg Ward. Look, we don't know what's going on in Philly, and I want no part of it outside of Miles Sanders and maybe Zach Ertz or Dallas Goedert, okay? As far as the receivers go, Alshon Jeffries is set to come back in the next couple of weeks from Liz Frank. We know that they lost Jalen Reagor to injury, so keep an eye out for Greg Ward if you need receiver help. But please do not just buy in just because you see his name pop up with 20 points scored in 1 week. They were playing Cincy and they played to a tie. So if that tells you anything about the play call, they punted in a tied game in overtime. So I don't know what's going on in Philly. From a Washington standpoint, I love it. Keep it up. Good job, guys. Because statistically, Washington's number one in the NFC East, guys. So have fun with that. T. Higgins, look, Tyler Boyd, you see up there, he is the main guy to have for Cincinnati. T. Higgins is just a recipient of the situation, and it's going to be kind of hard to call those. Let's go ahead and look at tight ends real quick. Try to steer you guys away from some stuff. Now, look, Jimmy Graham has returned from the dead. We got a lot of resurrection this week. Tyler Croft, you're going to see up on your waiver wire. Robert Toyin, Mo Alley Cox. Look, if you didn't listen to me last week, listen to me this week. If you need a solid tight end help, Mo Alley Cox is the man to have. I myself have Travis Kelce, so I'm perfectly fine rolling with that. But if you need help, if you weren't fortunate enough to get one, either Kelce or Kittle, if you're suffering right now because Kittle's hurt, if you took Mark Andrews and you're not happy with his production, Mo Alley Cox is the man to have. Look, Jack Doyle might come back, but he's still going to be competing. Mo Alley Cox has been the target for Phillip Rivers, and we all know that Phillip Rivers can turn any tight end into a superstar. So 3 receptions, 50 yards, and a touchdown. We see Jimmy Graham, 6 receptions, 60 yards, and 2 TDs. Tyler Croft, 4 receptions, 24 yards, and a touchdown. The only rostered running back right now in this top 5 in our league of record is Eric Ebron. I myself even dropped him after just the disgust of 2 weeks. I did, however, pick up Mo Alley Cox, so I'm perfectly happy with my 14 points and a solid tight end replacement for Eric Ebron. Plus the fact that there's just way too many other people to target in Pittsburgh. So, with that said, please do not fall into the Tyler Croft trap or the Robert Toyin. Jimmy Graham is very interesting for the next couple of weeks, depending upon what happens in Chicago. If my prediction comes true and Nick Foles is the quarterback to play for Chicago, I got 2 words for you. Trey Burton. Remember that name. He played with Foles in Philly and did absolutely phenomenal. So with Jimmy Graham, very capable. With Nick Foles, very opportunistic. Jimmy Graham might be the next hot acquisition to have. Remember, you heard it here first. Okay, guys? Defenses, Indianapolis, the number 1 this week, followed by Tampa Bay. Now, you see why Indy was number 1. They're playing the Jets. That's why I mentioned Thursday night, guys. Thursday night, Jets, Denver. If Denver's defense is out there, I know they're missing Von Miller. That's fine. It's the Jets. It's a short week. You'll be fine. If you're looking for a streaming option, they are my early and my first mention for streaming of the week. Defense is the Denver Broncos. Look, go ahead, start them, pick them up. If you need somebody, if you don't have one of the top tier defenses, my defense hasn't played yet. I have Baltimore, but I did start the Colts over Baltimore because of the shootout that I'm expecting for tonight's game. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and cut this. We will bring up a review of the week that was. We're going to look ahead to the week that is, and we're going to look at some waiver wire traps that I don't want you guys to fall into going into this week's games. Remember, Chiefs, Ravens tonight. Good luck to all those, because there's probably a lot of fantasy owners out there who are hinging on this game, I myself included. So, for Fantasy Football Academy 2020, I'm the Dean, asking you guys take care of each other, mask up if you're still doing that, and remember, do your part to help keep all this coronavirus thing under control. Look, guys, we'll get through this together, and remember, once the election hits, it's over, right? That's what I keep hearing. But anyway, guys, take it easy. Take care. Remember, subscribe, like, and share down the bottom. Leave your comments, and good luck next week, and good luck tonight if you're looking at the Chiefs Ravens to wrap up your fantasy weekend. So take it easy, guys. We'll see you tomorrow.